Markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing nearest you. Plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80. Plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes it easy to compare quotes and get a great rate with the Home Quote Explorer, only at Progressive.com. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Let me tell y'all something right now. I'll get into LeBron James in just a minute. My producer extraordinaire, Jonathan Witham, Cat Passer. They got the sound from LeBron James speaking about Daryl Morey, the executive, the GM for the Houston Rockets, in regards to that whole China situation. Somebody's got to come to LeBron James' defense. And I don't appreciate some of you out there making me be the one to do it. We all know I ain't inclined to come to his defense. But damn it, when he's right, he's right. And I'll explain in just a few minutes. Prior to that, however, I do want to say, for the record, it is time for me to get into what transpired last night, courtesy of Monday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. First thing I want to say is this. I got to give props to Matt Patricia because the Detroit Lions, the more I watch them, the better they look. It's time for somebody to give the Detroit Lions credit, even though this might not be the ideal day to do it because they did lose a damn game, if we're being fair. They did lose a damn game. Here's the reality of the situation. When you look at the Detroit Lions last night losing to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, you can look at it and you can sit up there and say the Detroit Lions fought valiantly, lost 23-22 by 1 point. 2 penalties against Trey Flowers. Wasn't a head shot, wasn't a neck shot. Moved by a defensive lineman or linebacker in an attempt to attack the passer. You can look at 2 of those penalties, call it absolutely bogus, and say that may have cost the Detroit Lions the game all you want to. You can look at that. I would tell you this. I don't want to hear that. I will tell you right now, I don't want to hear that at all. If you watched this game last night, you should be reminded of the greatness of Aaron Rodgers. Now, Trey Flowers shouldn't have had those penalties called against him. They were relatively bogus. You up in the upper chest area near the neck, but not grabbing the guy literally by his neck, not grabbing him by his face mask. What's the problem? These are moves that have been allowed in professional football for ages. It's just another piece of evidence to show how ridiculously soft the National Football League has become. Now, obviously, there's a lot of violence there. But the bottom line is, as I've said this on many occasions, I'll say it again. No head shots, no neck shots, no shots at the knees or below her. You want to tackle somebody, it has to be from below the neck right down to right above the knee. To me, that's how you ensure the health of these players moving forward. I saw Ray Lewis cave dude's chest in on many, many occasions with a shot right to the midsection or the chest area. I don't see the problem. But when you want to talk about that determined the outcome of last night's game, you must not be paying attention to that bad man. That bad man. Aaron Rodgers. You see those dime pieces he threw? One to Scantling, the other to Lazard. I mean, Aaron Rodgers just reminded you of the greatness that we witnessed from this man. Watching this brother perform, he is something special. Yes, he can run with the football. Yes, he can move the chains. But this brother with the ability to just simply put a football wherever he wants to put it. I'm trying to figure out why the hell is ESPN showing up all of these highlights, ESPN News showing all of these damn highlights, except for everything that I want to see. What did that over-the-head drop to Scantling? What about that dime piece down the sideline to Lazard for a touchdown? You see that? There you go. That's the highlight to show. That's a highlight. Ever heard of a highlight? I didn't want lowlights. I wanted highlights. You see those dime pieces Aaron Rodgers throwing? That's the one to Lazard. Show me the overhead one. To Scantling. Show me that one. Because this brother right here, Aaron Rodgers, is so special. So underappreciated, so disrespected. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I know Patrick Mahomes is something special. I know Deshaun Watson is something special. I know Russell Wilson is something special. Tom Brady's the GOAT. I get it. But Aaron Rodgers, this brother is such a bad man. He's so special. It's just unreal, the level of disrespect and the absence of appreciation that is thrown in his direction. I can't stand any of yous that talk about my man Aaron Rodgers. He is special. And he showed it again last night. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Green Bay Packers are now 5-1 on the season. And I can make a legitimate argument that they're the second best team in football. At worst, third. I mean, we got two undefeated teams in the Patriots. And, of course, the San Francisco 49ers that can't be ignored, led by porn star Jimmy. We understand it. We understand it. Okay? They're undefeated, but we know porn star Jimmy is undefeated because of that defense. It ain't because of him. You can make a legitimate argument the same about Tom Brady because New England's defense is elite, but Tom Brady's Tom Brady. And as a history is showing you, he'll do whatever it takes. But in the case of porn star Jimmy, that defense in San Francisco, led by Richard Sherman, and that secondary, led by Nick Bosa on the line, with them allowing 12.8 yards or 12.8 points per game, which is a league leading. I'm sorry, San Francisco and that defense is real and cannot be ignored. But when you look at porn star Jimmy, he ain't the reason they 5-0. But you look at Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, you talk about that defense, obviously, which has improved vastly this year. But Aaron Rodgers, with some of these dime pieces, is something special. It really, really is. Matthew Stafford didn't play a bad game either. 18 for 32, 265 yards, sacked 3 times, a quarterback rating of 83. But Aaron Rodgers, 24 39, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That wasn't his fault, by the way. Hit the dude right in the face. Hit him right in the face mask and bounced off of him for an interception. That wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault. That was a touchdown. Jamal Williams running the ball effectively. 104 yards rushing on just 14 carries. Got to give love and respect where it's due with that one. We can't ignore that. And Valdez Scantling with that over-the-head catch, impressive. I'm just telling you. Lazard, 4 receptions for 65 yards, impressive. But Aaron Rodgers. See, this is why you got to look at Green Bay. Because right now you can make a legitimate argument that Green Bay is the greatest threat to win it all. And I'll tell you something. Here's why. Because if they have a defense, do you really think you're going to keep a man down like Aaron Rodgers? You really think that's going to happen? You really, really believe that? Just tell me y'all believe that with a straight face. Just tell me y'all believe that with a straight face. I don't believe it. I'm telling you right now, I don't believe it. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Now let me transition to a subject that's near and dear to all of our hearts right now. It's important that we touch on this. LeBron James is back in the United States of America. His trip to China has come to an end. And obviously being on American soil comes with an elevated level of freedom that you didn't have in a communist country like China. And so because of that, the tweet that Daryl Morey sent out that spanned about 7 words a couple of weeks ago that caused an international brouhaha. Daryl Morey, the general manager for the Houston Rockets, saying stand for freedom, stand with Hong Kong, the protesters. I'm not sure I said every word absolutely correct, but you get the gist of it. Fight for freedom. Stand with Hong Kong. That's 7 words, last time I checked. Nevertheless, Daryl Morey speaks, and obviously Adam Silver had to get involved. Houston Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta had to speak out against his very own general manager, albeit refusing to fire him, and rightfully so. We support Daryl Morey in that regard. He did not deserve to lose his job. He is an outstanding general manager, and by the way, a good man. A good man. Daryl Morey's a good guy. He's not a bad person. He's not somebody we should be wishing unfavorable circumstances upon or anything like that. Nevertheless, I thought that he should not have done what he did in terms of sending out the tweet. I thought he could have been more expansive than that. Either speak out freely and extensively or shut the hell up. Very simple to me. You're an executive. You can speak more eloquently than a 7-word tweet. Nevertheless, the Nets were over there. The Brooklyn Nets were over in China. The Los Angeles Lakers were over in China. You had a lot of stuff going on. And LeBron James hadn't spoken on the issue in all of this time. There were people who were clamoring for LeBron James, the biggest basketball star on the planet, to speak out on these issues. And LeBron finally did yesterday. Extensively, I might add, at least to some degree. Here is what LeBron James had to say.
I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke. So many people could have been harmed, not only financially, but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do, even though, yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that, too. I think when we all sit back and learn from the situation that happened, understand that what you could tweet or could say, we all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. So that's my belief. That's all I can say. I believe he was either misinformed or not really educated on the situation. And if he was, then so be it. But I have no idea, but that's just my belief. When you say things or do things, if you're doing it, and you know the people that can be affected by it, and the families and the individuals and everyone that can be affected by it, sometimes things can be changed as well. And also sometimes social media is not always the proper way to go about things as well.
Let me say a couple of things. Number one, I have a producer here by the name of Jonathan Winthrop. He's not a punk. He's not going to hide behind the camera and not say it. He doesn't mind me putting his name on Front Street. He thought LeBron came across as considerably weak. Thought that LeBron James could have been far more outspoken. And if you're going to speak against freedoms and injustices right here about the existing in the United States of America, then you certainly can speak about freedom and injustices or lack thereof or lack of freedom and injustices that take place across the ocean, particularly in China. That's John's position. Max Kellerman's position, my partner on First Take every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time on ESPN, basically accused LeBron James to some degree of selling out on the issue because he obviously felt that LeBron James should have been more outspoken. Let me tell you what Stephen A. thinks, okay? Let me be very, very clear about what Stephen A. thinks. I don't give a damn what none of y'all say. That includes Jonathan Winthrop, Max Kellerman, John Oliver, Mr. Late Night himself. I've heard that he came at me. I don't know exactly what he said because I haven't seen the clip. Don't give a damn. By the way, John Oliver has a very good show. On a few occasions that I've had the pleasure of watching it, he's an incredibly talented individual. And I have no problem with him coming at me. I'm a big boy. I can take it. And it's perfectly within his right to do so. You're going to sit in this chair and you're going to cast judgment and aspersions upon people's actions on a day-to-day basis. You got to be man enough to take it. And I certainly have that kind of alligator skin. I can take it. All right? Sometimes I want to bite back. Sometimes I will bite back. I'll be damned if I won't. Sometimes I'll elect not to. Depends on what my preference is at a particular moment in time. But that's neither here nor there. Let me be clear about what I'm about to say. LeBron James was absolutely right with what he said. It's time for everybody to grow up. Everybody. LeBron James sitting up there saying, think about somebody other than yourself. I think when it comes to Daryl Morey, that's apropos. I'm not saying that Daryl Morey is thoughtless. I'm not saying that he's a misinformed individual or anything like that. Daryl Morey is one of the smartest dudes and one of the most decent people you'll ever find in this business. And I will defend Daryl Morey to the hilt as it pertains to his individual character as a man. He's a good man. That's not what this is about. When LeBron James used the word misinformed, you know what I think LeBron was alluding to? Damn it, Daryl Morey, you don't know we over there in this communist country? What the hell were you thinking about? That tweet couldn't have waited a week? You had to say something now and just throw us to the wolves? You didn't know how China was going to act? You haven't been doing business with China for the last 15, 20 years? Yao Ming didn't play for the Rockets under your stewardship? Yao Ming wasn't a star? Yao Ming, the president of the Chinese Basketball Federation? The Chinese Basketball Federation, whose relationship is synonymous with the Houston Rockets, who's cultivated a relationship with America and the NBA and the Houston Rockets spanning 20 years, that has everything to do with the proliferation of individuals employed in China, spanning in the thousands, helping to facilitate the ability to generate revenue in excess of $3 billion. You didn't know nothing about that, Daryl Morey? You didn't know how China would react? You haven't been doing business with them yourself? That's what LeBron James was saying. He ain't the only one doing business with them. James Harden ain't the only one doing business with them. There's a plethora of NBA players, present and former, who do business with China. The NBA has offices in China, have employees in China. Oh, by the way, so does Apple. So does Tesla. And a myriad of businesses spanning the hundreds. Oh, by the way, the same China that everybody wants to excoriate. How much money do we owe them in debt? Some people have joked around about how they own us because we owe them so much damn money. So LeBron James is saying, how do you not know that, Daryl Morey? How do you not know or not be sensitive enough to the position that will put us in? This is China. They don't share our values. They do have a different moral compass than us. They might love their basketball, but we might talk about how some people need to shut up and dribble. China tells you to do that and dares you to defy them. See the difference? We don't know that? And then all of a sudden in the world of business, we got people sticking out their chest at every turn. Oh, you should speak out. Of course, if you're an American citizen. Anytime somebody asked me a question about China, you know what I said? I'm an American. I'm a black man first, but I'm an American. And I support democracy everywhere. Period. I ain't apologizing for saying that. Adam Silver didn't apologize for saying that. At least day two. Daryl Morey, LeBron James, or anybody else should not apologize for saying that. But I'll be damned if I was over in China saying, I don't give a damn what anybody says. I support democracy everywhere. I guarantee you I'd wait until I got the hell out of there. I'm sorry. You think that, hey, John, am I a punk? Hey, JC, am I a punk for saying that? Ladies and gentlemen, do I need to jump up and down, waving my hand? Stephen A's a punk. Stephen A's a sellout. Yes, the hell I am, if that's what that meant. You think I'm going to go to China saying that? I'm going to be in China. Beijing, Shanghai, wherever the hell else it is. I've never been over there. You think I'm going to go over there bloviating about democracy and human rights on their soul? You think I ain't going to wait till I get the hell up out of there? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. You want to call that being a punk, sellout, or whatever? Damn it, I'm going to say to you, that's all the nicknames you got? That's all? We can bring it home. Right here on American soil. Ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time, not to say that it's still not a prevalent issue and still not an issue in our country, there was discussions about brutality on the part of police officers against young black men. Then they talked about how the hoodie issue because of the Trayvon Martin situation. And some wannabe cop, George Zimmerman, shot Trayvon Martin. I still think his behind should be behind bars for a long, long time, but that's a different subject for another day. Assuming he's still around with us. I don't know what his status is. I don't recall whether or not he passed away, he's still living or whatever. I apologize. And you know what I did? I totally agreed. I totally applauded LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, the Miami Heat, Ray Allen, everybody else wearing their hoodies when that happened to Trayvon Martin. Totally supported it. But when my little nephew tried to walk outside with a hoodie on, I said, come here, man. Where the hell you think you going? Because even though it's wrong to have the fear, it doesn't make the palpability of the fear any less. So you're going to go out there and risk yourself and risk your life to make a point when there are a myriad of other ways that you can make that same point. One has nothing to do with the other, but I'm using it to make a point and an example. Knowing when and where to do certain things matter. We got congressional figures and senators and beyond speaking about what individuals who happen to be athletes or a sports league should do, but they're politicians on Capitol Hill doing business with China every day. You want to talk about LeBron James and how LeBron James needs to do certain things, Jonathan Winthrop. Don't hide now. Don't hide now. LeBron James is coming across weak, and he hasn't spoken out enough. I don't hear Elon Musk speaking. I don't hear the head of Apple speaking. You got cats that are billionaires, set for generations upon generations upon generations to come, that make LeBron James money look like pennies, that employ far more people, are entrenched more in the fabric of America than he could ever hope to be, that are more powerful, more influential, and are connected to those who are even more powerful and influential than them. And ain't nobody asking them to stick out their chest and speak on issues. But I got producers here and people calling up to the radio show and people in newspapers everywhere and beyond. Oh, LeBron needs to do this and that. How come y'all ain't calling them out? Why they get to sit by quietly? Why this black man in his mid-30s who never ran for office, who don't have a damn thing to do with Daryl Morey opening his mouth, suddenly he's supposed to speak out, right? That's why we got the damn problems we got now. 20 years, 25, 30 years, 35 years, we gonna talk about how they act. But we got politicians and powerful elected officials in their 60s and 70s that don't know how the hell to act, and y'all don't say anything. Y'all full of you know what. Make me sick. Can't stand y'all with your hypocritical tendencies. And I'm fully aware that LeBron ain't innocent in all of this, because if you can speak out against Colin Kaepernick, if you can speak out on behalf of Colin Kaepernick and his quest and his causes, it would behoove you not to forget that when it comes to the issue of China. So he could have said something now that he was back on American soil other than pointing out Daryl Morey being misinformed. But I'll be damned if I expected him to say it while he was over there in China. Hell no. Shut your mouth. Get the hell up out of there. That's the smart thing to do. And last but not least, for you late night hosts, for the newspapers, Bob Raceman mentioning me. I like Bob, though. But mentioning me in his column in the New York Daily News, my angle was soft, my angle was weak, or whatever freaking word he used. And again, I respect Bob. It's his job to come after media members and all of that other stuff. He's a critic. I understand it, and no hard feelings. Ain't no big deal. I can take it because I like Bob, and I've known him for years. But let me say this. I don't hear you calling out the New York Daily News for anything. I don't see anybody in the New York Post calling out the New York Post. Regardless of how some of you feel, about Sean Hannity, I like Sean Hannity. That's my buddy. I don't hear him calling out Fox News. I don't see anybody on CNN. I like them too. I like Cuomo. I love Wolf Blitzer. I love those guys. I don't see them calling out CNN. I don't see Jimmy Kimmel. Oh my God, I love Jimmy Kimmel. I don't see him calling out ABC. And I'll be damned if I'm going to call out my employer. Why y'all acting like y'all don't know? You going to call out the people that cut your checks? Who does that and keeps their job? You're going to waste my time with your drivel. Had the decency to acknowledge and incorporate and implement common sense into the equation. It does not work that way. Not when you want to survive and ultimately prosper, living to fight another day about other issues that are just as pertinent as this one. In other words, grow the hell up. Stop acting like you don't know. 888-SAY-ESPN, that's 888-729-3776. Get the hell a break before I curse somebody out. Here's the Select Quote term life insurance difference. Most companies give you one option, one policy, one rate. But Select Quote shops and gets you up to 10 options from highly rated life insurers. For a free personalized quote, call 1-800-601-6992 or go to select